We did it, guys. This is the last multimedia presentation for this public administration class. My name is Yvonne Cortez, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you the 5 things that I've learned that I didn't know 8 weeks ago. So 5 things I didn't know and why they were interesting to me. Number 1, taxation. Where does my money go? Where did my money go? I think for me, the biggest thing in this particular module that we learned about was the distribution of taxes and how we pay into the federal government and our taxes are distributed and we can ask back for the money in the form of grants, block grants, but we have to actually write in and request this money in return, and then when we get that money back, it has restrictions or mandates that are attached to it in the way that we can spend it. And most of the times when you're asking for these large project grants, they're associated with only specific things like school, freeways, infrastructure, all that kinds of stuff. The other thing that was really interesting to me is that there's a possibility that Kentucky's getting my money. When here I am a taxpayer and I've been working since I was 16 years old. So those taxes have been deducted throughout the years, and in all of that time, I had no idea that those taxes were not being dumped back into California. And the crazy thing is, we pay so much in taxes. Our cost of living is so high. So this was just really good and useful information to me. Number 2, globalization. Wait, I have to think about other countries too? So as I went through this last chapter that we did where it talked about reform and globalization and all of that, this topic came up and I noticed that it said that the new trend is for people who are in public administration that they have to have this globalization mindset, and the most of them were international business majors. And so by having this particular skill, it almost says it broadens our understanding of public administration, and it said it makes those people for better public administrators. I never knew, I've kind of lived a sheltered life, so I didn't realize how much of an impact other countries have and their economic status on the way that we live. And just coming into this new understanding, I think that's going to be a really interesting concept to kind of further explore. And maybe I might even take some classes in terms of international business, because I've never thought that something like that could impact the job that I do now and today. Number 3, e-government. Isn't there a threat of a breach? So as we went through and we read Dr. Sundstrom's paper and listened to the lectures and read the book and just kind of went through all these particular topics, I didn't realize how far we had already come in a form of e-government. I live in San Bernardino County, so out here everything is still really dated. There's a lot of manual systems at the local government offices. I have yet to see anything that was like super streamlined or anything that was even online for that matter. So to me, as far as my scope of experience, it was very limited. But I see as technology is going forward and kind of just getting all of this new information, the first concern that came to me is that there's a possibility with the threat of breach. I mean, the quicker that we make technology so that we can transmit sensitive information, we're always at risk. It made me think back to like that Target breach that they had, where all those people's credit card numbers and their debit card numbers were stolen and there was money taken from their accounts, and it was actually through a breach. I have a coworker friend who her son actually works for the FBI, and that's what his job is. He's like a hacker for the hackers, and so they're constantly going in and just looking and finding ways to navigate through this system. This young man is probably about 23, 24 years old, and he's already in this line of work. It's like the hacking FBI police that he does. And so if there's people out there like that, there's always the opposite end of the spectrum where you have hackers and you do have people who are just stealing people's information. I believe it was yesterday that I saw a commercial on the TV, and it was on a random channel, and it showed a picture of a little girl, and it said something like, this is Danielle, and Danielle likes to eat out at dinners and do this and do this, and there was all this stuff. Danielle was like 10 years old, and then they kind of pan over to this man, and this man's out shopping and doing all of that, and the ad was for like a identity protection software that you could get, because even kids' information, their social security number and all of that stuff is already being compromised when these kids aren't even old enough to build their credit or have a social security number or open utilities in their name. So I think just realizing where we're at in terms of e-government, and kind of, I don't want to say slowing that pace, but making sure that there's a way to put in safeguards so that we're not just rushing to keep up with technology, that we're losing the security aspect. Number 4, management theories, ideas about how to manage me. So the biggest thing for me with this was that there were so many ideas on how to manage and deal with people. I was so blown away with them as I was kind of going through, and we were watching these videos and we're reading all of this information, and it just really, these concepts helped me to really understand the different personalities that I work with right now, and going from the different eras and seeing back when I was new in the workforce what the management theory was and how it applied at that time. You have people like Mary Parker Follett, you had Max Weber, you had Taylor's scientific method, you had all these different theorists contributing and giving ideas on how to manage people and what was the best way. You have Herbert Simon and his bounded rationality saying that trying to identify like the way that we think, when you put us on another level of thinking, we just become these idiots. And so as I'm reading all of this information and taking it in, I was really interested in the fact that, how did these things work? Can you imagine being an employee back under these theory, or under the era of that theory, when these things were being tried out like these little guinea pigs? I know for me, the biggest one that bothers me probably, or the one that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, was Taylor. And that's because he wanted to like time you. I know right now, if a boss or a director walks over to my desk and they just kind of stand there, I get this real nervous anxiety about me. So to be under that kind of pressure when it was being observed constantly and monitored and gauged for effectiveness, I think it's just a little bit over the top. So I thought this was a really interesting concept, and I hope that everybody kind of grasped something from it and they were able to apply it to their job situation, because I know it really helped me. Rewards. So in government agencies, I was always under the impression that there was no reward or merit system, but I didn't realize, like, I thought the reward was that you were working in public service and you got what you got, and that was the reward. You went into that field because you wanted to serve and help people, help the community, and just kind of contribute to a better overall society. I didn't realize that they do have compensation packages, that they do get awards and banquets, that there are ways that they can be rewarded. I always understood it to be like, it's a base salary and that's what you get, and you do your work and you don't complain. Obviously, depending on the economy, I'm sure there was like cost of living increases, but other than that, I didn't realize that there was opportunities for actually to be recognized for the work that's being done in public administration and public service. So just one thing, if there was one thing that I could share with my family and friends, and why I would want to share it, it would be the tax thing. I have so many conversations with people, and we're constantly talking about taxes and finances and money and all of this, and I'm willing to bet money that not one of them knows that the money does not come back into California. And I'm not talking about people that are not educated. I'm talking about people who have a great understanding, who probably have degrees in finance and in education, but I'm willing to bet money that they had no idea that that federal revenue does not always come back 100% into California. The other thing that I was really surprised to learn that we did talk about in this course was e-government. Like I said in the other slide, I didn't realize how far we had already come, or how far technology had already brought us, because in the county that I, again, live in, we haven't had access to that kind of stuff. So for my last slide, which is just my final thoughts, and I want to encourage you, I picked these two Dr. Seuss quotes because I really want to encourage you guys as you continue and take this journey in public administration. It's going to be a good thing, but you need to know that you do have a purpose. So the last two say, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And this is where you have the opportunity to just make a difference, and make a difference in the world, not only in your own little realm of life, but in this world. There's so much opportunity out there, and especially coming out and completing this, not only this class, but as you complete your degree at CBU, I think you're going to find that God's going to really open other doors for you, things that you couldn't even imagine, but you got to keep going. The thing is, you can't stop when it gets hard, and you have to keep pressing through. So with the last quote, it says, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. And I hope that you guys keep going forward and just trying to live your best life and do everything the best that you can to just live a life that's pleasing to God. I mean, there's a reason that you chose CBU amongst all the schools that are out there. And I think the main goal of CBU has always been live your purpose. And as you go through these classes, I think you're going to find that you're going to have and come across information that's going to help you to be able to identify and understand what your purpose really is. So thank you for listening to my last multimedia presentation. And I pray that you guys just do really well. You do really well, and that you just finish strong. Okay, thank you.